All right. Good morning, learners. You are welcome for today's lesson. Today we are going to look at good morning, learners. You are welcome to today's lesson. Our topic for today is chemical reactions, but we are going to look at reactions of non-metals with oxygen. Yesterday we were looking at reactions of metals with oxygen. So today we are looking at what? Uh, non-metals with oxygen. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Now let's look at our lesson objectives. So it is expected that by the end of the lesson, you should be able to at least understand the chemical reaction between a non-metal and with oxygen. You should also be able to write the product. You should be able to also write the general reaction between non-metal and metal. And then you should also look at understand a combustion reaction, because anything that reacts with oxygen is basically a combustion reaction. Okay. All right. Now, oxygen is all around us in the air we breathe. It is a very reactive element. And when element is reactive, it means that it will readily react with many other substances. We saw evidence of the reactive nature of oxygen when we observed how it reacted with iron and magnesium to form what? Metal oxides. Okay, so let's look at this. You see the diagram here yesterday, that's what we were doing. We were looking at a metal reacting with what? Oxygen. So it's just to it's just basically a review. So now what we are seeing is that we're looking at metal reacting with oxygen yesterday. So these are just few. Now, the first two equations are talking about iron with oxygen to give you what? Iron oxide, basically, which is what? Rusting. And then aluminum reacting with oxygen to give you what? Aluminum oxide. And remember, aluminum doesn't rust because the aluminum oxide that is reacted will cover the surface of your aluminum, so it becomes a protective what element. Now today the last reactions is talking about what? Reaction of non-metal and what? The Okay, so the second equation is talking about what? Reaction of non-metals with oxygen. So we have got sulfur plus oxygen giving us sulfur dioxide, and sulfur plus I said sulfur plus oxygen giving us sulfur dioxide, and carbon plus oxygen giving us carbon dioxide. So the first two reactions are metals with oxygen, and the second two reactions are also what? Non-metals with oxygen. So we are going to continue with that. Now let's look at the general reaction between non-metal and oxygen. Okay, when a non-metal burns in oxygen, a non-metal oxide forms as a product. So here is the word equation for the reaction. We have a non-metal plus oxygen, then giving us what? Non-metal oxide. So non-metal plus oxygen serves as the reactant, and the non-metal oxide serves as what? The product. So you can see that it looks similar to the equation that we had yesterday. Okay. The only difference is that the word metal has been replaced with what? Non-metal on both sides of the equation. Okay, so non-metal oxides have different chemical properties to metal oxides. All right. Now let's look at the general reaction for non-metals with what? Oxygen. Okay. Now reaction of non-metal plus oxygen will give us what? Non-metal oxide. So this is the general what? Equation. So I repeat again, non-metal plus oxygen will give you what? Non-metal oxide. And this will be acidic in nature. So let's look at a simple example. We have got sulfur plus oxygen giving us what? Sulfur dioxide. And when this one dissolves in water, we get an acid. So the sulfur dioxide is acidic in nature. So, and it will turn blue litmus paper red. So that is why factories, places where factories produces gases and sulfur dioxide is there, and when it rains, we can get what? Acidic rain. Okay. So now let's look at the reaction of carbon with oxygen. Remember, carbon is what? A non-metal reacting with oxygen. Okay, the energy released by burning coal is used to generate electrical energy in coal-powered station. So remember, coal is a form of carbon, and when it burns in oxygen, we can represent the reaction with the following equation. All right. Now, carbon plus oxygen giving us what? Carbon dioxide. Now, I'm giving you a picture, a picture of the equation. You remember we said we can illustrate a chemical reaction either by what? Chemical formulae, picture, and then what? And then the word equation. So word equation, picture, and then what? Symbols too. Okay, so if carbon reacts with oxygen, then this is what we are seeing. So in the picture equation, the black atoms are carbon and the red atoms are oxygen. So if learners do not have these colors of pens, they can use anything. So this one, you can form this at home, whereby you can get clay or even materials. So now what you are going to do is that if you are using clay and you want to differentiate them, you can add a bit of charcoal or any black color so that you can differentiate them. So carbon, the black one will be carbon and the red one will be what? Oxygen. So you will get carbon dioxide. So this is a picture. And then the chemical equation can be represented like this. Okay, so here this is a picture of the equation, and then this is the chemical equation that is represented using what? Formula or the symbol. So you see the C plus 2 is giving us what? C plus O2 is giving us what? Carbon dioxide. This equation is already balanced. You can see that on the left-hand side, we have carbon, and then on the right-hand side, we also have carbon, but it's 1. Then on the left-hand side, oxygen is 2. And then on the right-hand side, oxygen is also 2. So the equation is already balanced. Now, let's move ahead. The other elements in the same group as carbon will react the same way as carbon with oxygen. Remember, oxygen elements in the same group behave in the same manner. Okay, so if carbon reacts with oxygen, then it means silicon can also react with oxygen. Okay, since coal is a non-renewable energy source as well as one that causes pollution and other environmental problems, scientists and engineers continue to look for alternative fuels and energy sources to eventually replace as energy resources. Okay, so now we have got a word equation, a symbol equation, and then a picture equation. Okay, so as I was saying, elements in the same group can react the same. Guys, can you hear me? There are some people around my backyard who are making noise. I don't know what is happening there. So I do apologize. The other elements in the same groups as carbon will react in the same way as carbon reacts with what? Oxygen. Okay, that's good. You can hear me. That's good. Okay. Since since coal is a non-renewable energy source as well as uh, one that causes pollution and other environmental problems, scientists and engineers continue to look for alternative fuels and energy sources to eventually replace coal as what energy source. So this is just an addition. So, but what we are looking for is what reaction of non-metals with oxygen. Now we are looking at what carbon plus oxygen. So when carbon reacts, we are going to get what carbon dioxide. This is a word equation. This is a chemical equation, carbon plus oxygen. And this is a what? A picture equation. So this picture equation, we have it there. So they can give you a question that says, write, write a word equation, a chemical equation, and then a picture equation. Okay. Now let's look at the reaction of sulfur with oxygen. Now, what is the name of the product of the reaction between sulfur and oxygen? Can you guess? All right. In a word equation, we have got sulfur plus oxygen as our reactant. So when they come together, can you guess what we are going to have? Yes. So if you guess that is sulfur dioxide, then we're going to have something like this. So the equation should read sulfur plus oxygen will give us what? Sulfur dioxide. And remember, sulfur, sulfur, sulfur burns in oxygen to form sulfur dioxide. That forms a what? A poisonous substance. Okay, so take note, we just finished looking at what? A reaction between carbon and oxygen, which is a non-metal. We are also looking at what? Reaction of sulfur with oxygen, which is also a non-metal. Now, that is the word equation, sulfur plus oxygen giving us sulfur dioxide. And remember, sulfur dioxide is very poisonous. So in the laboratory, you don't have to inhale the gas. Now, what we have down there is what? The picture, a picture equation for the reaction. Colors are not important here. As long as all atoms of the same element have the same color, you can also do it. That's right. Okay. Uh, is somebody having a question? All right. I can see that, Uncle, you are saying, say, you don't understand. How come we don't have two oxygen yet we have two carbons, yet they are both diatomic? Okay. I do understand your question. So let me just go back to the slide and then I will explain. Yeah, but remember, oxygen is diatomic. Carbon alone is not diatomic, so we can say it's monatomic. You have never seen carbon 2, that is C2. No, it doesn't happen. So oxygen is diatomic, you are right. But when carbon dioxide react, we have got what? One atom of carbon reacting with what? Two atoms of oxygen to give you what? Carbon dioxide. So uh, two atoms of oxygen will come together to give you what? One atom of oxygen reacting with another atom of oxygen will give you what? Two atoms of oxygen, which is what? Diatomic, meaning is what? A molecule. So you are right on that. But carbon is not a diatomic. Carbon alone is not diatomic. All right. So, but when we react it together, it will give us what? Carbon dioxide. I hope that explains. You are fine now. So you can just send me a message if you are fine. Okay. Before I continue with what we are doing here. Yes. Okay. The diatomic elements. We can talk about nitrogen. We can talk about oxygen. We can talk about fluorine. We can talk about iodine. We can talk about what? Iodine, fluorine, and chlorine. Those are the diatomic. Yes. So nitrogen, fluorine, iodine, bromine, even bromine. Yes. All right. But carbon is not a diatomic. All right. So let's proceed. All right. If you have another question, you can also post it so that when we are done, uh, I will just review them and then give you the answers. Okay. So now we are done here for reaction between carbon and oxygen. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. So we are done with also sulfur with oxygen. Yes. So sulfur reacts with oxygen to give us what? Sulfur dioxide. Okay. So the word equation is sulfur plus oxygen giving us sulfur dioxide. All right. Then, okay, let's move to the next. Now, it's going to be what? The lesson summary before we go on with what? Our activities. Okay. Now, we are saying that non-metals react with oxygen to form what? Non-metal oxide. Just like yesterday, we were looking at what? Metals reacting with oxygen to form what? Metal oxides. So now today is non-metal reacting with oxygen to give us non-metal oxide. So take note. The non-metal and oxygen gas, that is O2, are the reactants. This type of reaction, this is the type of reaction. And a non-metal oxide is the product. So take note of this sentence again. Non-metal with oxygen are the reactants in this type of reaction. And then a non-metal oxide is the product. Because remember, we are saying by the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify your product. You should be able to also identify your reactant. Okay. Now, the reaction of carbon and sulfur with oxygen are examples of what? Non-metals reacting with what? Oxygen. And carbon and sulfur both form what? Dioxide with oxygen. But this is not true of all non-metals, so take note. Okay, so let me just go back to your questions. I can see you have posted so many there. All right, thanks. Okay, let me quickly review. Yeah, yeah. Hydrogen is also diatomic. Yeah, it's a molecule. So hydrogen atom plus hydrogen atom will give you what? Hydrogen molecule, which is diatomic. Yes, onka. Yes, I hope you are fine. Okay. Yes. So hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, iodine, bromine. Yes, they are what? Diatomic. So we call them what? Gases. Okay. So let me go to the other one. Carbon is not a diatomic. Yes, as I said. Yes. But when it reacts with oxygen, you get carbon dioxide. That doesn't mean that carbon is a diatomic. All right. So can you please go back to the previous slide? I want to write something. Okay. Tando, Tando, which slide are you talking about so that I will go back? Tando, which slide are you talking about? Oh, well, why do you say I shouldn't mind? I am here to serve you, so just tell me, I will go back for you. I'm just reviewing your questions before we go to the activities. Okay, now I will go back to the slides again. All right, that's cool. Thanks very much. All right. So are you guys okay? Can we go to the assessment? Can I proceed with the assessment? All right. Okay, I can see that you're saying I should proceed. Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. Okay. So the first assessment is what is fill in the gaps or fill in the empty spaces. Is there for 5 marks. So there are two. Okay. So this is the first one. So this is what I want you to do. So A is saying that a substance that will react readily with many oxygen substance is called a what? You supply. So you are just supposed to supply the answer. So whether you write A, then the answer. Then B, substances that do not react with other substances and do not change into other compounds are called, okay, so here there are two answers there. Okay. C, when a non-metal reacts with oxygen, the product of the reaction is a, okay. When a compound reacts with oxygen, we say it has become what? All right. So these are the questions. But if you want me to quickly go back to the slide so that you can check something for your assessment, I can quickly do that. So, all right, all right. But I would, okay. Are you guys okay? All right. Then keep your answers coming. So take note. A substance that will react readily with many other substances is called a what? Dash substance. The substances that do not react with other substances and do not change into other compounds are called dash or dash. So it means you need to supply two answers there. Okay, and C, when a non-metals react with oxygen, the product of the reaction is, all right, and then when a compound reacts with oxygen, we say it has become, yes, for D, all right. So let's see. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's your answer. Now continue. So A, so 1A, okay, that's great. Okay, no simple. That's good. Continue. See, I want to see the one who will get total today for question one. Um, guys, don't jump. Yeah. Onka, where is your A and B and you have jumped to C? Onka, try to arrange your work. You are mixing them up. As I said, one, A, you write the answer. B, there are two answers there, so you write. Or you are not sure. No people. Okay, you will be fine. All right. I hope you guys are winning. I'm not seeing the rest. I can see Nosipo, Anka, uh, uh, Tando. I'm not seeing your answers. Ametle, I'm not seeing your answers. Okay. Yes, yeah, you are now responding. Okay, reactive, inert or non-metal oxide D. Okay, I'm very impressed about your answers. So keep them coming. All right. Are you ready to mark yourself? Oh, stone. Okay, I understand. Yeah, Stone, we are doing the assessment now. So if you can see on your screen, question 1 is fill in the gaps. Yes. All right, guys, are you ready to mark yourself before we go to question 2? Yes, something to, yes, write it. No, Zipo, what are you trying to say? You'll see where you are just coming now. You just join us. Guys, yeah, yes, if it is, yeah, whatever you are saying should be oxide. Like you remember yesterday, we were looking at what metals reacting with oxygen, so they will get a what? A metal oxide. So therefore, today we are looking at what? Non-metals reacting with oxygen. But you will get what? So just try to infer. If metals react with oxygen to give you what? Metal oxide, then non-metals reacting with oxygen will give you what? Okay. Most people, I hope you got the clue there. All right. Should I give you the corrections so that you will mark, or we should proceed to question 2? Crazy, you are just joining us. Welcome. Yeah. Okay. Corrections. Let's go to question 2. Let's go to question 2. Before corrections, I hope you will get total correction. Say, yeah, Onka. Let wait. I will give you the corrections now. Okay. Now this is question 2. This is question 2. Question 2 is about a flow or a mind map. Okay. So this is a summary, but at the same time, a question. So what we have done, this is just the summary. But at the bottom there, you're supposed to answer there. So you don't need to do, you can take a pic of it, but you just need to give me the answers for carbon reacting with what? When carbon reacts with oxygen, what do we get? Oh, sorry, I'm too fast now. Soon, okay, I will be too, okay. All right, I will move a bit slow for you. Okay, can we go to the corrections? Are you fine now? All right, I'm sure every one of us is on board. Yeah, I'm very impressed. Very good. So today I can see most of you are very energized, and let's see the one who will get total. Okay, so we're going back now. These are the corrections. So number 1 is reactive, B, unreactive or inert, so that's 2 marks, C, non-metal oxide, and then D, oxidized. So we have got what, 5 marks there. I want to check. So guys, I'm going back to, so who got total? You got 4, that's good. Onka said she got 4. Okay, you also got 4. Which question was the difficult one? Which question didn't you get right? Tando, you got 3, that's okay. All right. Oh, D. Yeah, okay, I understand. So now what it means is that, yes, remember, D is talking about, let me quickly go back to it again so that I can explain. Yeah, I understand that's the challenging question for you. Okay, now you see, when a compound reacts with oxygen, we say it has become oxidized. Yes. So when you go to grade 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 10, you will be doing what, redox reaction, in which you will be talking about what, oxidation and reduction. So oxidation talks about what, loss of electrons, and reduction talks about what, gain of electrons. Yeah, so I hope you will get a clue from that. Okay, now let's go to, and then question two. Question two, I guess everybody got that right. That's, yeah, okay. So it was 6. But let me see how many of us got question 2 total. Let me see how many of us got question 2 total. Yes, question 2, that's great. Okay. So 2, that's great. That's great. That's great. Yes. So I can see our only problem is question 1. Question 1 D, but the rest, they are fine. I'm shining for you here. I'm shining shining for you. You guys are doing very well. Okay. All right. Is there any question so that we can, I can summarize, or I can go back to the slide so that you can ask more questions? All right. So you, as you can see, you just need to to get. Can you please go back to the, the X slide? Okay. So all right. Okay. So I'm just going to start from the bottom here. All right. Now this is also a summary. So those of you who are saying I should go back to the summary, I'm going to use the mind map and explain, and I will go back to the summary. Now, what we have just done, if you understand this when you go to grade 10, 11, and 12, you will not have a problem, because that's basically you have the basics. Now we are looking at what, reactions of non-metal with oxygen. Now what we're saying is that during burning, so it means when a non-metal reacts with oxygen is burning, and that is also called what, combustion. Okay, now when the same for what, non-metals. Now, so you see the arrow that goes down. So when oxygen reacts with non-metals such as carbon, we are going to form what, carbon dioxide. And then when with sulfur, we are forming what, sulfur dioxide. Non-metals react with also oxygen to give us what, non-metal oxide. Just as a metal reacts with what, oxygen to give you a metal oxide. Then a non-metal reacts with oxygen to give you what, a non-metal oxide. So take note. Okay, so let me go to the slide. Yes, this is also clear. I've already explained that. Now, okay, all right, this is a summary of what we are just doing now. So you must take note. Non-metals react with oxygen to form what? Non-metals oxide. So nonmetals and oxygen gas are therefore the reactants in the reaction. And then the non-metal oxide will be the what? The product. So the reaction of carbon and sulfur with oxygen are examples of what? Non-metals reacting with oxygen. Carbon and sulfur will form what? Dioxide with oxygen. But this is not true of all non-metals. So meaning there are some metals that will react and you won't get carbon dioxide. For example, carbon can react with oxygen to give you what? Carbon monoxide. So when you get carbon monoxide, it means the there was no complete combustion, or the oxygen, the amount of oxygen content was small or limited. So you get what? Carbon monoxide. So carbon reacts with oxygen to get carbon dioxide in excess. Then carbon can also react with what? Oxygen to give you carbon monoxide. So I'm explaining this last bullet that say carbon and sulfur both form dioxide with oxygen, but this is not true of all non-metals. Okay. Now the other okay, so this is the slide. Sorry. So we're looking at the general equation for a reaction between sulfur and oxygen. So the reactants, we have got sulfur plus oxygen giving us what? Sulfur dioxide. Okay. I'm moving to the next slide. Okay. Now, so the reaction between carbon and oxygen. So this is what? A word equation, chemical equation, and picture equation. So I want you to do what? A word equation, you already have it, the reaction between sulfur and oxygen. You already have a word equation, write a chemical equation, and also what? Write a picture equation for it. Yes. All right, then this is what we have for carbon already. All right, so this is the general equation. Non-metals with plus oxygen will give you what? Non-metal oxide, which is what? Acidic in nature. And then a typical example, or just an example, is sulfur plus oxygen. Okay, so this one is also what? Word equation and then what? Symbol. Okay, now we also looked at the general equation in words. So the general reaction of non-metal with oxygen they will be non-metal plus oxygen will give you non-metal oxide. Okay, so this was just the introduction. All right. Okay, guys, if you have a question, just post it for clarification. Otherwise, our meeting. I hope you'll see what did you get the summary, or I'm too fast for you. Hello, guys, are you there? Did you get the summary? Okay, are you guys still there? Okay, that's good. All right. Um, Next week Friday, our assessment I will try to incorporate Kahoot so that you can also answer it. You can answer it, then we can see your answers from there. All right. So ask questions. And now, no, I'm saying next week Friday because some of you want it, you want us. It's good. You want us to have it in Kahoot. So I will try and incorporate on Friday. So on Friday, what we will do from Monday to Thursday, Then I will get the general assessment for the 4 days in what? Friday, but through Kahoot. Is that fine with you guys? With the arrangement in terms of the assessment? All right, that's great. Okay. All right. So our lesson is almost coming to an end. I hope you did enjoy the lesson, and then I was a bit very clear in terms. Um, yes, it's possible to get, but I will contact the authority that be so that we can get it. Yeah, somebody raised their hand. Yes. Yeah, you can ask your question. Yeah, ask your question. I saw somebody raising up their hand. Okay. All right. So our lesson has come to an end, and then see you next week, where we will meet again to continue with our reaction or chemical reactions. Bye for now, and take care.